primary ignition.
This is Star Wars.
Look out!
Core World News.
You may fire when ready.
From the bright center of the galaxy, I'm Grex Kondak, and you're listening to Core World News, your holonet news service providing in-depth coverage of all the latest stories from around the galaxy. Now, here's a news segment rundown for July 17th, 2022. Kyber Crystal Comics Corner. Now, your hosts, Ben and Grant, to review the latest comics from Dr. Aphra.
All right, thank you very much, Grex. And welcome everyone to another week of Core World News. We regret to inform you that Adam won't be with us this week. He's too deep into the unknown regions for HoloNet transmission. So it's just Grant and I today covering this amazing Dr. Aphra arc. It's good to be back with Aphra, right? Like it's been a while.
It's so good, and it doesn't feel right doing it without Adam.
I know.
He's not going back to Barleth with us, and that's tough for me to think about, but we'll do it. We'll do our best. We'll cover the, I think we're going to cover, 15 to 20, probably dive into 21 too, because, we'll play it loose. It's like, I had to read 21 after 20. I think we discussed like 5 comic chunks of review, but I had to read 21. It was just, the cliffhanger at the end of 20, it just calls for reading 21. Yeah. And and I'm just super excited about this run. I think Alyssa Wong is killing it. Like this is as good or better than the Spurrier run that I've fallen in love with and I hold dear as one of my favorite runs in all of Star Wars comics. And I love this run. I love diving into the archaeology. I love diving into the past at Barleth. I love all that stuff. Like it's so much fun. And like the ensemble keeps growing. Like just keeps growing in this comic. Like we just meet more and more people. Now it's like these sort of like the network of contacts that Aphra has is just like, 3 times the size it was in, recent comics. It's awesome. There's a huge cast of characters now, and I love each one. I think each one's different and unique and adds so much to the story. Like I can't wait to dive in. Yeah, indeed. And it dovetails in with the rest of the Crimson Reign run, or the Crimson Reign arc as well. And so we get some characters, some crossover there, some old people, some old characters, some new characters. But then just, like a classic Aphra story. It's got, Sith lore, a lot of artifacts that are dangerous. It's, and this takes us all the way back to her college days, which is, they haven't touched a lot of, but they don't do it very often, but they did it in this arc, and it's pretty great. Yeah, this is the most I've seen, right? It's like they do flashbacks now and again, but I think we get like full on. It's almost like I think it was a 20 or 19 just really dives into it, and it's great. Like I love the university days. I'd almost argue that might be the best timeline to explore a Dr. Aphra TV series or Disney Plus series for that matter. Right. Not that they need to have a live action Dr. Aphra series, but it's not like a should. It's like it's more of like this would be cool, and this era of her developing and becoming the monster manipulator, as Sana Starros calls her, like for that to all be developing and see that in action would be really cool. And I love her posse in those days, like Eustacia and Sana, and a new character we'll be talking about shortly that I'm very excited to dive into. It had a lot of like Hogwarts energy, like Barleth University there. It was pretty funny, and we meet one of her professors, which seemed like an important person in her past, but there are countless important people in Dr. Aphra's past. Saba Inglante Nas, right? Inglantine Nas. Yeah, Inglantine Nas. Yeah. Yes. Very long name, but fitting for a sort of headmaster, head of occult studies at Barleth University. Such a cool character, and funny to see a Twi'lek, almost like an aged Twi'lek. Yeah. Like you always see Twi'leks are always so young and they're spry, and like this is an older Twi'lek, and she's savagely insulted by Aphra. Oh, so savage! Aphra really throws out some zingers in this. Oh, you're flaky Leku. I was like, oh, true turds. Jeez. Yeah. Although Sava doesn't seem like the nicest person in the world.
No, she's I think deserves some of those comments given her treatment of Aphra and her friends. But yeah, should we dive into the beginning of all of this? Should we talk about the end of War of the Bounty Hunters, the end of this whole the Crimson Reign sort of like gala that occurred, and sort of I guess the heist that took place on the Vermilion over Jakara, and Aphra and Sana are like just trying to escape. They get captured. They're now trying to escape. Yeah. I guess 15 just starts right off the bat. Deathstick confronts them. Deathstick's trying to take them out. Deathstick uses like poisoned kunai, like ninja stuff. So, yeah, it was pretty sweet. I was like, okay, she's increasingly cooler by the issue. Love that character.
Yeah. I mean, it seems a little excessive. She can already kill with the flingy metal things that she's throwing at people, but she's like, no, I'm gonna cover those in poison just to be sure.
Yeah, and and it apparently kills you in 10 minutes, and that's duly noted by Aphra, who who then finds this new technology, a device, Ascendent tech. It's called. It's from an ancient civilization
ancient cult,
ancient cult, I guess. Yeah. Cult, and I guess they were trying to sort of like create technology that would mimic the Force, or allow whoever uses such device to use the Force in some way, and also achieve greater things that we'll get into as the issues kind of go on. We learn more about the tech and what the ultimate point is, but she picks up a thought dowser.
Yeah.
Turns the tables on Deathstick, makes Deathstick stab herself with her own poisoned blade. Tells her, about the 10 minutes, you've got 10 minutes before the poison course. And then she bolts and she leaves, and cool standoff with Just Lucky and Ariel. Ariel, yeah.
I like Ari. Let's call him Ari.
Yeah, Ari. Let's just call him Ari. Ariel, and Just Lucky, basically, I think they're helping Aphra and Sana, and then they kind of like they get in a standoff, and Aphra, sabotages their ship, and Aphra and Sana are out. Yeah. Pretty cool first introduction to the Ascendant technology, the thought dowser device. What were your thoughts about this kind of new lore that's being added?
Well, I love it because give me a new Sith cult every day of the week, please. Like I'm in for it. Also, it's a double-edged sword. Even though it's not really a sword, but the pun is probably in there anyways. Mm-hmm. It fries her arm, and it fries her like arm tech. By using it.
Yeah, because when she uses it, we should talk a little bit about what's going on with Aphra when she does pick up this sort of like dark cursed sort of artifact, and it's that she feels like a presence, almost like some sort of like entity, and then she feels like the power kind of corrupted her. She felt like it was almost like too easy. It was too satiating. Yeah. She really liked using.
She's like, I don't even have to think that hard. I can just make you stab yourself like easily.
Yeah, and then basically the power of the device is that it can manipulate someone's mind and cause them. You can basically whatever thoughts you have of them doing, they'll do it in real time. Yeah. It's pretty disturbing, and it can be used for pretty horrific means. And that's exactly what Aphra says. She, I guess, Sana's like, let's grab it, let's bring it to Domina Tag. Like she's the one who sent us to go get these artifacts. And Aphra's like, can you imagine what someone like what would happen if someone like Domina Tag gets a hold of this? No way.
No way. Absolutely not.
I love that sort of fire with fire. She's diving into the dark artifacts. She's using them at a cost, but being in the sort of like in the thick of occult sort of archaeology, she's keeping the occult items and artifacts away from the true like evildoers of the galaxy. I really like that about Aphra.
Yeah, she does. She's completely unafraid of harming herself, which she does often, but she generally doesn't want the wider galaxy to be hurt. That's what's beautiful about this character, right? She just walks that very, very fine line between like hero, anti-hero. She's had her good moments. She's had a lot of probably a lot more bad moments, and like I wish we saw this in writing in more media of in Star Wars, because I think there are a lot of characters that are like this that could walk this line, like Boba Fett or someone like, everyone doesn't have to have this heroic arc. They can, there's room for anti-heroes doing crazy things. And,
that's the most interesting thing about Aphra, I think, is the tone, because it can be like cartoonish antics, and then the next scene could be someone getting like a hole blown through them by like an ancient a device or tech or something, just something truly dire happening. I just love that breadth of tone where it can be really funny, silly, and then it can also be devastating and sad.
I think that's why Dr. Aphra may always live in the comics, because that's like, this is the only medium you can really get away with all that.
But maybe it sings here. It sings in this medium, and I just love Alyssa Wong's like comedic writing, like throughout. Like I think this is the funniest comic that's out there right now. I know other comics, they have their quips and there's fun little, meta between characters, but this is like truly comedic and like very well written and very funny. Like calling Kofan Ferris like a Sith dipped in glitter is like one of the greatest lines ever. But and it's just really funny. A smart I think dialogue between the characters. I think that's just the standout part of this comic.
Right. So Aphra does need to get her arm fixed, and she can't get it from her local guy.
Merle?
Merle. Yes, thank you. Merle, the toy dare.
That's Slice Doc, in the galaxy, or she says he's at least better than the few she can think of. And and he's just for our listeners, like he's a Toydarian, and there's definite Watto vibes, but this was like highly educated, smart slicer Watto. It was like it wasn't. He looked like Watto too, which was interesting. The blue coloration, because I think they can be any color from Clone Wars, and it was just like very Watto looking Toydarian. I was like, all right,
so she needs to bargain with that. Actually, this was the MacGuffin for her for throughout the whole beginning of the War of the Bounty Hunters. It was that necklace that was like each jewel contained tons and tons of information, and we finally find out what was in that necklace. The storage device, and it's the whole Crimson Dawn network, the whole Crimson Dawn like
the Rolodex,
like spy network. And I was like, all right, that's really cool. So she uses, talk about giving Domina Tag too much power. Like she barters that with Domina Tag to get her arm fixed.
How badly did you want them to name every organization that they've infiltrated?
Real bad. All they mentioned was Black Sun.
She just says like, the Crimson Dawn agents have infiltrated several like syndicates or whatever. I was like, please name all of them.
Yeah.
However many that is, please name them all. And
I don't care if it takes 5 minutes.
Find out that it's like the necklace, I guess, originated with Black Sun, and it's kind of got the Black Sun. I guess the most data on it is probably related to Black Sun. I think they talk about, you even see like Phaline sort of like holograms appear, like Phaline characters appear. And like it looked like Prince Xizor. Like it looked pretty. I wonder if Prince Xizor is going to become canon. I guess in Clone Wars
they named him. What was the last arc we did? What was the last comic arc we did? Was it Star Wars in the for Crimson Reign?
I think it was Star.
She named Prince Xizor.
That's
like,
right.
Like it was just like she talks to the leader, but then no one talks to Prince Xizor. Like no one. Like he's there somewhere, but like he's not in day to day, and he doesn't talk.
It'd be fun for Prince Xizor to appear in Mandalorian, like almost after this Mandalore arc is like a Xizor thing, because like he feels like Dash Rendar. He feels like a character that
Thrawn.
Would have, or Thrawn. It feels like a character who would have come across Prince Xizor, and that'd be a fun few seasons.
Yeah, it would.
He's a cool character. It would be kind of fun to bring him back. So just shout out to Prince Xizor, and hopefully more people read the old Legends books and dive back into that character. He's great. It gives he has like pheromone control. He like controls Leia at one point. Like there's like crazy stuff in the books that I just remember fondly, or just thinking that this was pulpy, great sci-fi goodness. Yeah. He's a fun character. And more alien bad guys, like more cool species from around the galaxy as the big bad, because, it's fun to change it up.
Yeah, and it's right. Star Wars is rife with it. Let's keep this thing getting bigger. Mm-hmm. So, of course, Domina then reverts it and is like, you need to get me more of this tech. And she's like, sure. Everyone's like, I'll get right on that.
But my arm here, it's singed.
Yeah.
Like it's fried. Could you you know those sturgeons and slicers you have in retainer? Could they like fix my arm? And that's
She gets an
that's
upgrade.
exactly what she gets. She gets not only her arm repaired, she gets upgrades. Like her arm is functioning far better than it ever did before, and that's cool to note for all of us kind of comic fans, because like going forward, I guess the arm is going to be capable of new things. It's more durable, obviously. We find out, but it's so cool after her arm is repaired and she like grabs a security droid and like instantly hacks into the network.
Yeah,
that was like seconds.
Yeah,
what a cool character. Like the slicing doesn't need to be like, you know, a DJ like pulling out all these keys. It can just be like seconds, and her arm is just that quick. It's pretty cool, and that's pretty useful for storytelling. Like we don't have to almost create a lock picking scene. It's more of just like she's in there. She gets in the network quick with that arm.
We also see in like a random, I think it's the last page of issue 16, they just show Ronin tag in a back to tank, sort of apropos of nothing. So like,
right, yeah. Ronin tag. He's
and
back.
like he has a great story, right? Because he was part of the Aphra arc, like I don't know, 20 issues ago. Like I think
he was
the
great
beginning.
bad for Aphra.
Yeah.
He was a great bad where Domina was like, oh, that was my idiot nephew. Like I'm a businesswoman and you're under my employ. And it was more of like, you can tell she's still a baddie, but there's a working relationship with Aphra. Whereas Ronan, I think, was just out to kill Aphra. Like I think it was just,
I know somewhere Adam's listening to this screaming, but I forget where he came. I think he might have been the big bad at the end of the last Aphra run before they restarted it. Because remember they went through that thing and they were looking for these rings that would give you like eternal life again.
Yes. Yes.
And it was like, oh, did they get him or not? And he had them, and it looked like he got destroyed, but the rings did in fact save his life. He's just covered in scars. But so this is the big return that Ronin Tag had made it out of getting put in an incinerator and destroyed. He actually did heal somehow.
And his scars are interesting because they remind me of the scars on Ren, the leader of the Knights of Ren. Like they're almost identical scarring.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's on purpose or that's just like the how scars are shown and appear in the comics. I don't know, but it's like the overlap's quite interesting, and it makes me think that maybe Ren touched some Ascendant tech back in the day, or touched some ancient Sith artifact back in the day, and that's how he got scarred. That would be interesting. That's a great story. What's great about Ren is I think there's a lot more to dive in with that character, and I just noticed that similarity with the scarring.
Good catch, man.
Fun.
And we did see a flash to Just Lucky going to a bar, and he's playing with one of those rings that Ronin Tag was wearing.
Right. That is right. It's the ring from that arc. Yeah.
Yeah, there was two.
I think that's the beginning of Alyssa Wong's takeover. I think her first run had Ronin Tag as the bad guy. They were going
so that was the beginning.
Temples. Because I remember reading that. I just think that we have so much in our heads at this point after War of the Bounty Hunters that it was like she just died. She just dove right into that War of the Bounty Hunters plot, and it kind of like I think that's just what's recent in our memory. And so
that makes sense.
That early run, I'd have to revisit it to really talk about each location and what they were after. But he was a cool bad guy, and it's fun to see the infighting at Tag Corporation. Like it is cool to see Domina and brings back Ronin, but then Ronin is quick to be like, oh, like, I heard Uncle died and the funeral was fantastic and his shares like are being passed on to someone, and then like, obviously insinuating it's probably her, and then like talking about how she might not be around for very long and like how he could assume the company and all this kind of stuff. And, she takes it as a challenge, and but she is like, I have dealt with far worse than you. Like,
she's like, I am.
She
the
brought him back, so you have to think. What's interesting is she brought him back, and then reading the last 5-6 issues, it's like she's like, oh, I have a quick solution towards like eliminating him if need be. It seems like that she might actually do that, and so it's like it's interesting that she brought him back and then has already found means to eliminate him. By issue 21. It's pretty cool. He's a cool bad guy. I love the Tag Corporation. They're very powerful. Like they're very wealthy. They build the weaponry. They help build starships. They finance a lot of the Empire and things like that.
Yeah, they're ruthless.
Yeah, they're ruthless. Such a cool company, and so cool to see this sort of like power struggle within the company, and then the eternal life sort of plot come back. Some prequel, Palpatine's highly sought mission to find eternal life is like kind of that sort of storyline appears in this Aphra series run, and it's cool to have that juxtaposed against the power struggle for the corporation, where it's like, I'm going to live forever and I'm going to run this corporation forever. That is so smart. I think Alyssa Wong is very smart to sort of create, to not only have the quest for eternal life, but to connect it to dominant tag and to these people vying for power at this corporation and like trying to be there longer, outlast the other person. Like, that is so cool to have that.
Yeah.
It's not just singularly, let's find eternal life. It's like,
right.
Ooh, why would you want
this is my motivation. It's like, I want to hold power forever because I'm constantly like, I mean, we see Dominant Tag like kills a potential Crimson Dawn assassin and like offhandedly in this episode. Or episode
if they cared about you, they wouldn't have sent you to kill me. And like, annihilates this guy. And I was like, oh, like Dominant Tag is a fearsome, I guess, hand-to-hand combatant. Like, now I want to see Dominant Tag versus Kira. Now I want to see Dominant Tag versus Kofan Ferris, which we'll talk about. I love this character. We'll get there.
I think we're there, man.
We're there pretty much. Yeah. So, that's right. Because they go in search of, what's his name? God, it's the guy in Coruscant. It's like, what's his name? Tass Salmar, who was the head of the museum on Coruscant. They go to his estate on Coruscant, Tass Somar.
It happened so fast, I sort of...
Yeah, I totally forget. The name is just thrown out there, and I was like, anyone who's on Coruscant, I take note of, because I'm like, okay, so this guy's name is associated with the museum on Coruscant. That's cool lore. I kept that going. But then when they infiltrate his estate, that is so much fun, because I love the comedic banter between Sana and Aphra. She's like, I wish breaking and entering wasn't your idea of a good time. Like, Aphra loves to infiltrate, someone's homestead.
Loves it.
It's just her favorite thing to do.
Yeah.
They get in. They find a bunch of severed arms on the ground. Like, what?
Yeah.
I was like, what is this horror beat? Like, this is scary. This is scary stuff. This is Aphra. This is what's great about Aphra. It's comical. There's tension. There's horror. There's levity. It's constant. This constant rotation of themes. But then Kofan Ferris shows up.
There she is, already there, and with another sort of variation on the Thought Dowser. And she's one step ahead of Aphra. She sort of, she's like, here I am your great,
your nemesis.
The thing is, your nemesis, right? Like, I am, and she's like, of course, Dr. Aphra's like, which nemesis is this? And it's an introduction. Of course, it's an introduction to a new character. I kind of love Kofan Ferris, half because of what she represents. She's got great sense of style. I do love the Sith dipped in glitter look that she's got going on. And what she's trying to do there, like, it's serious.
There's kind of a Haja Estri element going on with her, where she's like faking the Force, basically. Yeah. Using
she's an unapologetic Force faker. It's not like, she's like, yes, I'm a Sith wannabe. That's what this whole cult did, and I'm down.
Right. And she's well learned on everything Sith, and she obviously went to university with Aphra and Sana and Eustacia, and she studied the occult. She studied the Sith, and she studied not only the Sith, but I guess this Ascendant tech. And it looks like almost everything in Ko's ship or like dwelling is like Ascendant. Like, almost all the tech around Ko is Ascendant.
Yeah. She bathes in it. She's got Ascendant tapestries in her. I actually kind of love her.
And it's kind of like,
see her like flop pad in this.
It's like golden mechanical sort of tech that sort of reminds me of the dwarven tech from like Skyrim and Elder Scrolls, and just kind of like the Whip of Sorrows, which she uses, which is like, again, the sort of thing. It's like not a laser whip, but it does absorb energy like a Sith would, and it's really cool. So I like that half of her, but I also like the way she's illustrated and written. It just shows it's like, oh, this was the girl that really wasn't popular in college. Like, she's like kind of got this like
she's a little socially uncomfortable and like kind of a dork and like still obsessed over something that happened a million years ago, and like in, you know, from their college days, however many years later this is. And I just think it makes her a very well-developed, well-rounded character. And in definitely a new flavor of person to like be in orbit around Dr. Aphra. And I think it just makes a lot of sense. I don't know. I just dig this character a lot.
Yeah.
But also formidable. Like it's a lot of using magnets, like we saw in Obi-Wan Kenobi, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, but then these technological artifacts really do seem to have some spiritual powers to them.
Yeah, I really, really, really like her character. I can't wait to see what happens, because I mean, I've only read up to 21, and that character is still very much involved in the storyline, and it seems like there's a lot more story to tell with that character in particular. And we find out she's working for someone.
She is.
Well.
Everyone's working for this someone.
Yeah, I guess everyone. I guess it is. I guess Kira
really know it or not.
Yeah, Kira's payroll must be wild, because like almost everyone is working for Crimson Dawn in these comics. And but what's cool here is Kofan Ferris is actually working with the Archivist, like closely with the Archivist, and it's more of like the Archivist and Co are in league than Kira and Co are talking. You know, it's more with the Archivist, and the Archivist is almost like a Palpatine-esque character.
Yeah,
and like Co is almost like this apprentice type Maul character. Like it's very cool to see them kind of emulate the Sith power structure between the two of them. I have to think there's just going to be some super dark event with those two at the end of all of this, like, or the Archivist has her own plans or something. Like it seems pretty nefarious. Like there seems like there's a real worship of the Sith between them.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
That's what's intriguing.
Yeah, that was part of, you know, she was brought on. We talked about this in the last comic run, which I'm pretty sure was Star Wars main run, and we get, you know, the Archivist narrates a lot of that arc there.
Mm-hmm.
And she's a fascinating character and definitely has her toes in the Force and with the Sith, and, you know, is the person that you know, not mentors, but like gives information to Kira about dark matters and the Sith and everything that she's looking to overthrow. So yeah, I mean, she's a really cool character, and it's interesting. And so she wants what everyone else in this wants, which is it's called the Star. I'm gonna forget it now, but
the Eternal Spark.
The Eternal Spark. Yep.
Everyone wants this. Everyone wants this. Ronan Tagg has found
Spark
out about
Eternal.
it somehow.
Sorry,
How
Spark
did that guy
Eternal.
find out about it? Did he know about it from like an older issue or something?
I don't know. I mean, I think.
Oh no, he was studying in the Back to Tank.
Yeah,
it's right. Like, I was researching the company in the Back to Tank. He knows about it. Everyone wants to
know about the Spark Eternal. He wanted those. It was the rings was a different living forever technology.
That's funny.
Was more. It was more lore and like magic based. This is like technological? Question mark?
Yeah, I can't wait to talk about the actual Spark Eternal and what happens there, because that's fascinating. But but I guess I don't know where we are. Are we now? I think we're around 1920, right? Where they basically are like Barleth is the location. We got to go back to Barleth. Or I guess there's more. There's more. I think there's a fun issue where Aphra and Sonastaro, speaking of an old run, they go and find the guy who was running that company that made the fake Nile hyperdrives and tried to sell to
Baol
Tag. And it was like, oh, this guy, you know, forges, you know, fake technology. Let's use this guy to put up a listing for Ascendent Tech, have Co, you know, go after the listing, come to the location, and then we'll ambush her. And that's exactly what happens. And then Co fights them off, big fight. And then they find out as Co's running away, there's this fun little kind of poem that goes with the Ascendant Tech that I guess Aphra can hear her reciting as they're fighting. And then I guess she also draws out this cool, like she's been drawing that circle with all the dots around it at all these occult sort of crime scenes. And you see her actually do it this time and drip some blood on there. It does it with her own blood, I guess, which is pretty disturbing.
There's definitely blood ritual involved with using these artifacts.
Yeah, and then she bolts, and Aphra's like, we're going back to where it all began, Barlath. We're going to Barlath University. I couldn't be more excited as a reader. I was like, yes, we're going back to Barlath. We're seeing the university. We're going in the halls, and not only are we going in the halls like real time, like current day, we're getting a fun flashback to their first days at the university, or at least Ko's first day at the university, and her meeting Aphra and her friends. That was super fun. I loved the whole like I guess they immediately task her with like breaking into the headmaster's office or Saba's office. And Saba is again the head of occult studies and archaeology. So
so the most fun class there is.
Yeah, and so they go into there, and they Ko gets caught. Saba votes for expulsion, but she's outvoted by the rest of the faculty, and Ko stays on. And then what's cool is that's all juxtaposed against the current day story where Ko returns to talk with Saba, and Saba says, "Oh, the Eternal Spark has been here all along. It's underneath the university." And I was like, classic Sith temple beneath, whatever, structure is above.
If you're looking for a Sith artifact, look down and keep going down. It's underground.
Yeah, check noted establishments, and then just go to the basement. There's going to be a door, I promise you. Yeah, it is cool. Yeah, and Ko, to what you're talking about, Ko does feel like the Luna Lovegood of Star Wars, the sort of like Harry Potter character. It does feel like that, and Saba definitely feels like just a professor who's very sympathetic to her quirks and her interest in the dark science and dark magic.
Would Snape be I can't really I don't know very well.
Yeah, Snape. It's like if Snape and Luna Lovegood were kind of like had their own little like side story. That's kind of what it feels like with Saba and Ko, which is pretty cool. Like I really like that stuff, and that's why I think the university days are such a fun timeline for any kind of show or any kind of story. And so I love going back there. But then Saba leads Ko to the basement, shows her this altar where I guess that is the Spark Eternal. It's the very heart of this cult. It's called Studies. And then that's where the ritual is supposed to take place. And Saba starts the ritual. Aphra and Sana arrive just in time to kind of interrupt it. But Ko Von Ferris fights Aphra and Sana, and meanwhile Saba's continuing the ritual. She pulls off the ritual, and that's when chaos breaks loose after that. And Aphra's the one who races to the altar, gets to the altar. And then it appears like a beam shoots a hole through her, like energy just blasts through her, and there's like a visible gaping hole in her chest. And she dies on the altar. She's like falls face first on the altar. She appears to be dead. It's pretty spooky. And then the possession begins. She gets taken over by the same entity she had kind of been feeling all along, touching these Ascendant artifacts. And we don't know much about this entity yet, but it does create this sort of like armored shell around her torso.
Yeah, it's kind of like a really not flattering vest.
Yeah. She's like half Yuzong Vong at this point. And it's a tough look, but it looks like, and Aphra's no longer there, though she is having some sort of inner dialogue where she's trying to get control of her body, and then the entity possessing her is like, shut up, like be quiet, I'm taking over. And then Sana and Ko fight back. They try to get Aphra, see what Aphra's state is, but Aphra's like seems gone. It seems like this new entity is taken over, and they have to just leave. I think they have to just like escape because Aphra's way too powerful. Basically, like stronger than any like Jedi or Sith at this point. Like she is shooting like all like beams from her hands at this point, like Iron Man style. Like it's pretty cool. So
and she can't be hurt either. It's like you can shoot her, but then she can heal herself with like bioenergy. So it's like kind of like a machine that can like reprogram your biology to like heal itself by conservation of energy. Like it is, you know, spooky and occult, but it's also kind of based in technology as opposed
totally. It's like the epitome of a machine's ability to manipulate biotics and sort of like manipulate biology. And so it's like all the Ascendant tech seems to be like just highly advanced technology built to manipulate organic life. You know, like that is kind of what it feels like. And this is no exception. It takes over. It's basically now latched onto her body, so she's got this kind of like metallic, jagged vest, and she's not in control anymore. And it's pretty scary end of issue where we don't have Aphra. But what makes me so happy is that Sana and Ko are gonna go find all of Aphra's. They're going in search of Aphra, and they're going to find everyone she's ever been associated with.
Right.
In a fun montage where they go to like see her father. I guess they see her father like working on something or whatever member of her family is left. And they go to Tatooine to find someone. They go to find Eustacia again.
Collect her exes.
Yeah. And then just big reveal, very end, we get Magna Tolvin in a huge full spread page where it's just like this gorgeous image of her just standing there looking back.
In her rebel commander outfit.
Yeah, and this is Aphra's, I guess greatest love connection. You know, she's obviously had, you know, many flings with people, but like I think there's no stronger connection than with Magna Tolvin, and so it's very fitting that they go to find her right at the end, and it's so cool. Yeah,
and so it'll begin. So, man, yeah, it's going to be another great run here. Seems like maybe her most perilous problem she's run into yet in like all the runs. Like, and it'll be interesting. It's going to be the sort of cadre that usually surrounds her, chasing her, and trying to bring her back, or at least stop her, because who knows? It's she's going to probably cause a lot of problems. And who knows what's even motivating this, the possessed Aphra? Like, well, does she want power? Is she going to go after Domina Tag? Or like, you know, what is this entity that's possessed Aphra want? It's going to be interesting.
That'll be fun. It'll be fun to learn a little bit more about the Ascendant cult and sort of what that all means and the connection to the Sith. And they came to power during the Sith reign, which I caught in the comics. Like, they say that, and the Sith reign, that means a time in the galaxy when the Sith were the supreme power, right?
Yeah,
that's pretty cool stuff, and that's a pretty cool acknowledgement in the canon.
I'd die to learn more. I'd love to see a story around the Sith reign. Like, I want to know what's going on.
Oof, right? Yeah. Don't tease me with a good time. Yeah,
which would be kind of funny because the Ascendant aren't Force wielders yet. They were running the Sith, which is sort of wild. They're like technological wielders of power that could do everything the Sith could do. So that's a whole peck of.
And it seems that the whole the sort of poem about life eternal was all just a ruse to sort of get someone to a host for possession.
Yeah,
that's a big thing to note from reading these issues. Is like it seems like there's the entity that's taken over Aphra is very devious and looking to possess just the next host, and therefore has kept this ritual around. That's cool. I'd love to know more about that.
Yeah.
I mean, I love what Alyssa Wong has done after War of the Bounty Hunters. War of the Bounty Hunters was a little shaky. I think there was just too much going on. I couldn't really like focus on like one storyline. I was kind of like, Kira and Vader are gonna fight, right? Oh my god, they're fighting. They fought. That was kind of like all I was thinking about during that entire run. But so many things happened, and now there's just a little bit. It's nice to get Aphra back on her own series, just doing her own, you know, archaeological expeditions like that. I love that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we can sort of focus and drill down on the various lore missions of Aphra. They were pretty light on the Crimson Dawn stuff. We did get them sort of recruiting Just Lucky and Ariel to their cause. But yeah, mostly it was just you're in occult temples dealing with funky artifacts for, you know, we actually did cover 7 issues here. but we're sort of, when Adam's away, we get to decide what a run is, I guess. Yeah, it's a great time. It's a great series, and I can't wait to just gobble the rest of this up.
Yeah. I do love Domina Tag as sort of replacing Vader as the sort of like I would say like main obstacle for Aphra, or I guess employer sort of controller person who's holding Aphra hostage within these contracts or whatever, like just sort of like being the one who is I guess posing the greatest threat to Aphra. Because I mean, like, that character is so much fun. Like, Domina Tag is as fun as Vader, or more fun, just given you're getting to see a new side of the galaxy, these corporations, how this Tag Co can be, what they're trying to achieve, what she's trying to achieve. I love that character quite a bit. I hope she continues on, and I don't imagine she's gonna go down without a fight, and I don't imagine she's gonna, there's gonna be real consequences, I imagine, with Domina Tag.
Yeah.
It would be heartbreaking if we lost anyone in Aphra's cadre. Like if we lost someone, that would truly hit. That would hit pretty hard.
Yeah. And
she's capable of doing it. Like Domina Tag is sinister and calculating. Like she could do it.
I'm calling it. We're gonna get Domina V, this monster that has possessed Aphra. They're gonna meet head on at some point. Because it just makes sense. It's like, they need to flex and show how strong Domina is. And I just think that's where the monster's headed. But we'll see. Yeah,
that is cool. It was fun to also see the sort of like strange artwork that's associated with the Ascendant, like all over Kofan Ferris's like dwelling. Like that was cool. It definitely reminded me of like Maul's tattoos and sort of Dathomiri tattoos and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, there's like a lot of really fun design with the Ascendant. I hope they keep exploring the kind of gold mechanical tech, and then also the kind of strange symbols that are associated with them. It's cool stuff. So I love what they're building there. Yeah,
they name checked Urkatat, I think is the name of it. Is the
language.
The language. It's the Sith language. That's what was written on the blade in Rise of Skywalker. Ochi's blade there is written in I think it's Urkatat.
Oh, very cool. Yeah. I cannot wait to talk about Shadow of the Sith with you guys.
Yeah, I've been digging in on that now.
Very excited to talk about that because there's a lot going on with the Sith in there, and you learn a lot about Ochi. And I think it's beautiful characterization of Ochi in that book, that it's slightly different from the comics. Like you feel the same sort of like snarky, bandit outlaw. You still feel that snarky outlaw thing going on, but like there's a more sinister side to Ochi that I think is explored in that book that I really think is cool. And so I can't wait to dive into that. We'll do that soon.
2 weeks, not next week, but the week after we're going to do that with a special guest, which should be good.
Yeah. And I've got lots of notes. I can't wait to just parse over that book with you guys. There's so many cool little fun tidbits in there, and the canonization of cool, dark side lore that is very, very fun.
I've been loving that book. I'm gonna actually, when we're off this, I'm gonna go dive back in.
It's very
do the backstrip through
beautifully written.
Yeah,
I think Adam Christopher crushed it. And for me, it's a little upsetting that we didn't get a lot of that in the sequel trilogy. Like I almost feel like whatever Luke and Lando and Lor San Tekka and Luke and just like whatever these people were doing is so intriguing that like it begs to be it's begging to be filmed. You know what I mean? Like it's just begging.
And
there's some stuff in there that is like, we'll talk about it off air because I can't wait to just like see how far you are in the book and where you're at, and very exciting.
Yeah. Right on.
Can't wait to review it.
Well, awesome. We hope you enjoyed reading these comics, and if you didn't, you enjoyed our synopsis. These comics are great. Aphra is amazing. We will be back next week, hopefully with the full team. And until then, may the Force be with you.
This is Grex Kondak signing off. For the latest breaking news, follow @CoreWorldNews on Twitter and Instagram. Thank you, and good night.
Remember, the Force will be with you, always.